Most people picture making $1 million as one giant lucky moment, a viral product, a winning lottery ticket, or a single genius idea. But under the surface, seven-figure businesses are rarely built on luck. They are built on very boring, very predictable math. This diagram shows the core formula. Look closely at any million-dollar revenue stream, and you will find the exact same arithmetic. How much you charge multiplied by how many people buy. The reason so many entrepreneurs get stuck is they ignore this equation and try to copy the pricing strategy of someone else. They look at a successful creator and clone their price tag without looking at the business structure underneath it. If you try to sell a premium $4,000 product, but nobody knows who you are, you won't get any buyers. Conversely, if you price something at $20 but only have 100 followers, the volume simply won't sustain you. Scaling requires you to stop looking for a universal best price. Instead, you have to find the specific combination of price and reach that actually matches the audience and the authority you possess right now. Treating $1 million as a strict engineering problem removes the guesswork. It forces you to pick an actual price and an actual customer count, holding yourself accountable to a measurable metric rather than just hoping to build a big business someday. This matrix compares your options. We start with the lowest price path. Selling a $200 product to 5,000 buyers. This price is highly accessible. You don't need decades of industry authority. You just need a large audience to put your offer in front of. Because the financial barrier is low, you benefit from a high conversion rate on mid-tier products. But low prices force high volume. 5,000 buyers means 5,000 support tickets, password resets, and distinct customer experiences to manage. This is also the most crowded space on the internet. Because $200 is psychologically approachable for both buyer and seller, it is exactly where the largest number of beginners try to compete. The person who actually succeeds here treats broad distribution as their primary skill. They build systems and automation early to handle the massive customer load without manual effort. The psychological hurdle for your buyer is small, but the operational load for you is heavy. You must rely entirely on relentless automation to survive. Move up one tier, raise the price to $500, and required buyers drop to $2,000. This investment filters out casual browsers. With highly considered purchases, your authority must increase. You need clear testimonials and visible proof of transformation. Relying on organic word of mouth from a few dozen happy clients is no longer enough to hit the required volume. You have to build a deliberate, functioning sales funnel to continually acquire and persuade a slightly smaller, more skeptical pool of buyers. This middle tier is the natural landing spot for a practitioner who delivers undeniable results, but hasn't built a massive personal brand yet. You escape the operational chaos of 5,000 support tickets, but you take on a strict new demand, proving your value clearly and structurally. The third option, a $1,000 product, targeting exactly 1,000 buyers. Operational chaos vanishes, allowing for direct interaction and genuine community. But the cost is trust. You must possess deep industry authority and deliver highly specialized knowledge buyers can't find elsewhere. If you are a beginner lacking real credentials, you cannot simply slap a $1,000 price tag on basic information and expect it to sell. Buyers at this tier expect a comprehensive transformation. They pay for a complete done-with-you service or a curated program, not just standard video modules. This path is strictly for the subject matter expert willing to embrace a high-friction sales process in exchange for working closely with highly committed clients. You don't need a single viral post to make this work. The burden shifts entirely from mass marketing, resting squarely on the undeniable high-end value of what you deliver. Achieving seven figures doesn't require inventing a new industry. It requires you to look at your current operational assets and pick the mathematical path that leverages what you already have. To figure out your leverage point, we can use a simple decision tree. It starts with one question. What is your primary asset right now? If you have a large audience but limited established authority, follow path 1. Your focus has to be on distribution and building automated systems, because manual fulfillment at that volume will break your business. If you have a track record of verifiable results but a modest following, move to path 2. Stop racing to the bottom on price. Build a deliberate sales mechanism that clearly communicates your value to a smaller audience. And if you possess deep, specialized authority, path 3 is yours. Ignore viral metrics entirely and dedicate your resources to delivering high-touch support to a premium cohort. The fastest way to fail is to mix these models together. If you try to combine the broad, shallow marketing tactics of the $200 tier with the premium pricing of a $1,000 program, you will end up with zero sales. Your job is to pick exactly one combination of price and customer volume, commit to it entirely, and ruthlessly abandon the other options. By holding yourself strictly to that one equation, a vague ambition to grow a big company becomes a concrete target you can measure and track this quarter. Hitting $1 million is rarely an accident. It is a test of strategic focus and a willingness to commit to the unglamorous arithmetic of scale. People tend to assume that building $1 million business requires a massive megaphone. You need millions of views, a viral presence, or celebrity-level fame just to get enough buyers through the door. This equation shows a different path to that exact same target. Priced at $2,000, you need 500 people to hit $1 million. The math compresses further. At $4,000, you only need 250 buyers. Finding a few hundred buyers doesn't require a global platform. It demands deep, highly specific expertise. You solve a significant, painful problem for a small, heavily targeted group of people who trust your specific reputation. Scaling revenue is rarely about shouting loud enough for everyone to hear you. It is usually about finding a concentrated few who deeply value the exact solution you provide. Operating at this premium tier has distinct advantages. A disciplined individual or a very small team can easily manage a roster of 250 clients. The operational burden shrinks, but the pressure on your sales process goes through the roof. Convincing a stranger to hand over $4,000 in a single transaction requires intense one-to-one persuasion. It's a high-stakes conversation that demands massive trust, built very quickly, right there on the spot. Even when you close those deals, you face the start at zero problem. In a one-time sales model, the moment the calendar flips to a new month, your revenue drops back to zero. You have to hunt down entirely new buyers to keep the lights on. Selling a high-ticket item hits the $1 million milestone perfectly on a spreadsheet. In practice, it creates a high-friction environment, requiring exhausting, relentless customer acquisition just to survive. We can eliminate that friction by switching to a structure called monthly recurring revenue, or MRR. This allows us to keep our exact customer targets of 250 or 500 people, but we change how they pay. Instead of $2,000 upfront, 500 people pay $167 a month. Over a year, that equals $1 million. For 250 people, it's $333 a month, reaching the exact same mark. The final destination is identical to the one-time sales model, but the financial engine driving the business now functions on a different logic. Pacing out a large, intimidating purchase over 12 monthly installments turns what feels like an impossible sale into a highly manageable system. This structural shift rewrites the buyer's internal calculation. While a $2,000 price tag triggers scrutiny and hesitation, $167 represents a manageable monthly commitment. It massively lowers the barrier to entry. A heavy, high-risk financial decision transforms into a much easier trial. The buyer can test your expertise without betting their entire budget on day one. But removing that initial friction comes with a trade. You don't have to win a new sale from scratch every month, but you do have to earn the right to keep that subscription active by continually delivering value. Monthly recurring revenue trades the immediate difficulty of closing large upfront sales for the ongoing responsibility of sustained, reliable value delivery. Here is a comparative graph showing the true power of MRR. The flat line represents one-time sales. You always need to find a new buyer. But look at the upward curve. If a customer stays beyond the first year, recurring revenue compounds. A subscriber staying 2 years doubles their lifetime value. Because they're already in your system, that revenue requires zero additional sales effort. This compounding math carries a critical condition. It only functions if you know exactly how long your average user actually stays before canceling, a metric known as retention. Tracking retention forces a shift in your daily operations. Instead of dedicating all your energy to pure persuasion and hunting for new leads, your focus moves entirely to keeping your current users happy. True financial growth in a recurring model is unlocked by retaining the customers you already have, rather than constantly chasing after new ones. Look at the underlying stress of these two models. One-time sales leave you in a state of constant panic, wondering where next month's numbers will come from. A stable subscriber base gives you the confidence of knowing exactly what revenue is arriving on the first of the month. Predictable revenue eliminates the anxiety of the monthly reset. When you know your cash flow in advance, you can make confident decisions about hiring staff, planning long-term projects, and reinvesting in your growth. This leads to the ultimate endgame. If you ever decide to sell the company, buyers will pay a massive premium for a business built on predictable, recurring revenue. It is vastly more secure than a company relying on unpredictable one-off transactions. Distributing your pricing over 12 months secures a $1 million income while building a permanent, highly valuable asset. Ever wondered why so many smart entrepreneurs chase these massive revenue goals only to end up completely burnt out and frustrated? Well, today we're going to break down exactly how to match your pricing to your actual starting line. We are done chasing unrealistic fantasies, right? So often we get totally mesmerized by the big, flashy numbers, and we just skip right over the foundational business math that actually makes it all work. We're going to fix that today by building a grounded, realistic path to those revenue goals. Here's a quick look at our roadmap for today. We're going to start by matching your price to your current reach, then we'll bust the illusion of the 5,000 buyer mistake and sidestep what we call the comparison trap. After that, we'll lay out a strict 5-step execution blueprint and wrap up by revealing the single true variable for success. Let's go. Okay, part 1, matching price to current reach. The absolutely critical question we need to answer here is, where are you starting right now? We really need to take a pragmatic look at your baseline. If you're starting out with literally zero audience and no established reputation, a cheap mass market offer usually seems like the easiest path, right? Actually, it's a massive distribution trap. Counterintuitively, with zero audience, your best bet is a high price point with very low volume, leaning heavily on direct one-on-one relationships. Now, on the flip side, if you already have a meaningful reach, like a solid email list, mid-tier pricing, say around $500 to $1,000, is the sweet spot. It perfectly solves that distribution problem. And what if you have really deep expertise but a tiny niche audience? You do not need mass reach. A high-tier, low-volume model makes you the absolute undeniable choice for a small, highly trusting group. Moving on to part 2, the audience illusion mistake, or destination versus plan. It's pretty wild how often people totally misapply the math we just talked about, simply because they're blinded by the finish line. Let's talk about the number 5,000. It is literally the magic number that trips everyone up. So many people get hyped by the $1 million math, they create a $200 product, and they just imagine they're going to effortlessly find 5,000 buyers. Like they're just waiting around the corner with open wallets. They completely skip the reality check of whether they even have a path to reach 5,000 people in the first place. We absolutely have to separate what we call destination math from plan math. The destination math is real, sure, but it describes the finish line, not how you get there. The reality of plan math is that you need an existing massive audience, crazy cheap customer acquisition, or literally years of grinding to build that reach. Skipping straight to destination math without a real plan, that is exactly how a brilliant idea turns into years of endless frustration. So what's the mathematically sound approach? You've got to work backward from your actual current reach today, not forward from some fantasy destination. If you realistically only reach a few hundred people who trust you right now, we'll start exactly there. Use a higher price point for that smaller audience and let the group grow naturally over time. Please don't try to force a 5,000 buyer outcome onto a business that just isn't built for that kind of scale yet. All right, part 3, avoiding the comparison trap. This is the quiet mistake. It's this super subtle trap that silently derails so many incredibly sharp entrepreneurs. We define this comparison trap as second-guessing your perfectly valid mathematical path just because you saw someone else succeeding with a totally different model online. I mean, we've all been there, right? You see a post and suddenly you want to pivot the whole business. But constantly changing your approach to chase whatever looks flashy this week is incredibly damaging. All 10 combinations of price and volume are mathematically valid. You just have to pick your reasonable plan and stay the course long enough to let it actually work. Okay, part 4, 5 steps to execution. This is the blueprint. Let's take all this theory and turn it into a concrete framework you can actually apply today. Here's your 5-step playbook. Step 1, get brutally honest about your current reach. Who actually knows and trusts you right now? Step 2, commit to one single combination of price and volume. Depth always beats a scattered approach. Step 3, whenever possible, lean toward recurring revenue models for that sweet game-changing predictability. Step 4, track your numbers every single month. And Step 5, revisit and upgrade your offer over time as your reputation naturally grows. I really want to double down on Step 4 because tracking your data is a total game changer. Looking at these monthly metrics turns that abstract million-dollar dream into a concrete, manageable reality. You need to know the actual number of people you reach, the actual number of buyers, and your actual price point compared to your target tier. Measuring these specific things means you're actively in the driver's seat, moving the needle, instead of just leaving this massive goal sitting untouched in the background. And that brings us to part 5, the million-dollar variable, consistency and time. Let's strip away all the illusions about luck and viral ideas and look at what actually gets you across the finish line. The craziest part about all of this? There are no hidden secrets. Seriously, there is no magical, guarded formula the gurus are hiding from you. The million-dollar business math is simply price multiplied by people. That's it. Every single one of these combinations is sitting right there in plain sight, fully available to study right now. The pathways are entirely public knowledge. Which brings us to this incredible realization from our source material. $1 million was never really about luck. It was never about having one explosive viral idea. Hitting this milestone is just about the unglamorous work. It is about consistent execution on your one chosen combination for long enough that the math actually has time to play out. You have to match your strategy to the reach you have now, not the reach you wish you had. So, knowing that the math is literally just waiting for you to execute, and all the secrets are out in the open, it comes down to one final question. Which single combination are you going to commit to today? Take a hard look at your actual starting point, pick your path, and just let the math do the rest. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and here is to building your business with absolute clarity.